So we were just talking about starting the results and conclusions and then significance, and we decided that we would do concerns and obstacles together.
Okay.
And that would be a separate section, and then sustainability would go into results and maybe also significance.
Good.
So we're going to tackle results this afternoon, or yeah?
Yep.
Okay.
Can you just wait? I'll come get you a snack in a while, okay? Can I have some more treats? No more candy. We just went out and had an Easter egg hunt outside and a hike. And yes, they want to eat all of it right now, but
it's a tough roll.
It is.
Okay, so I'm looking. I put that placeholder in, Jack, that came from the first paragraph.
Okay.
Just to remind us.
Yeah.
So the first paragraph we got in there, I don't know whether you want to start with what's there or you want to start with it brand new, kind of what we've learned as we went through here.
Which are you on at the moment? Results and substantiated conclusions?
Yep.
Yeah, good. Placeholder. Good. Right.
What if we just went around and said what we thought the results and substantiated conclusions are first?
All right. I'll make a new section here. Conflab on March 31 at 2 and 7. Okay?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Who wants to start?
Well, I think it's the sustainability piece is huge for me. And I think it does and require some more thought and investigation specifically with that in mind. But I think when I read this paper now and I see how it began in Jack's writing, and I see and hear details that I didn't know before about, how Jack influenced Jackie, and then, I think of my experience of being influenced by Jackie and Cathy, and then how I've influenced my students. I just see this as not only, well, I guess maybe we need to define sustainable, but it's not just that it can continue, but it continues and thrives and grows and takes into consideration the changing socio-economic, cultural, historical influences and issues of the day, and it will still be sustained. I guess I didn't word that very well, but you know what I'm getting at. Mm. It's not going to be a theme of the day or the month or the year or even that of a political party. It can transcend those boundaries.
Yeah, there's an idea that's been developed with various people here, a sense of a living legacy. And this notion of sustainability, like Jackie was saying, in terms of, if you like, our working lives, if you've gone into certain kinds of understandings, and we're hoping that these will actually be sustained literally in the lives of others. So I think
in that idea of living legacy, and what you said, Liz, is the idea. I don't think it can happen. I mean, I guess it happened for you slightly in more isolation, Jack, but I think the legacy implies that you're working closely with somebody as a mentor, learning. And it's certainly, we've talked about the importance of having this culture of inquiry in order to be able to see where we are and some possible next steps, and have that validation of what we're doing.
So perhaps not everybody needs a loving community of inquiry, but it certainly helped you and I, Cathy. And I think, Jackie talks about different things from Jack, and it helped us, but it also, I think, in recognizing that the four of us now have developed that even further.
Yeah, I agree.
It's not a requirement, but it can certainly enhance the process.
Yeah, and that seems, one of the, if you like, substantiated conclusions, doesn't it? We've got evidence in relation to our sustained conversations and what we've learnt with each other, that is true.
I don't know. I think the whole idea of the living curriculum is something that has really, I guess I understood what the difference was in what I was trying to do in getting questions from the students which related to their own living contradictions.
Yeah.
But I don't think I'd heard or understood if I'd heard the term living curriculum.
Yeah.
And I think one of the, certainly one of the conclusions for me is that in reading what you wrote, Jack, and then considering that as applied to Jack's writing and talking about it with Liz, I feel that term really explains the difference between the given curriculum, and our struggle to work with that given curriculum to somehow get these questions.
And again, that seems to me to be a really important substantiated conclusion, especially where you were saying, Cathy, about the importance of formulating the questions.
Yes.
So again,
And I heard
nobody gave those students those questions, right? If we gave the students those questions, that they would have just shut down.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. And it really helped me, Jack, to hear you saying, about your teaching in science and saying, you were trying to get the kids to ask these questions, and you realized in watching the video that you really were kind of feeding the questions. Yes. And that's the same struggles I had going through writing my report cards. And I want you to have this question. This question I think is important for you, but that's not the way it works. And anyway, that became quite clear to me.
That was very important to me, that video. The first recognition of that sense of living as a living contradiction, the I was a living contradiction, in seeing that I wasn't doing what I believed I was doing, in terms of the forming of the questions. But I think your focus, Cathy, on the importance of the formation of questions, again, is something we can highlight in the substantiated conclusions. Could I just make, there's something that I'm really puzzled about, and it's to do with what I've learnt as I've been working with you, about this. It's a relational dynamic where both yourself and Liz are focusing on the classroom and the students. Jackie is very much focusing upon educational relationships with yourselves. I know that I'm fascinated by this idea of transforming the nature of educational knowledge. So as we're actually working together, there's something, for me, very significant emerging with the help of the videos and the multimedia work, which is, it's helping me to relate within what Jackie has always emphasised, within the sense of a culture of inquiry. And I don't know if everybody's agreeing with this, but I think what you and Liz did with offering those categories within which I then started to write, and Jackie explained what I needed to do, and I could immediately see that is what I could do. That has been very significant in terms of my learning, and the sense of the evidence that is now there, of quite a significant transformation in my own understandings.
And as you're experiencing that transformation, Jack, and writing about it, we're getting to witness it.
Yeah.
And it's then enhancing our understanding and validating our claims. And, I think it's also important here to note, and I think both of you just touched on it, the importance of, creating a space for that transitional time.
Mm-hmm.
And Jackie, you mentioned this when you were saying, we've got to be careful that we don't make this look like a seamless process or a wonderful story. Our conversations are making explicit the struggle.
Yeah, they are. And I don't know if, again, you agree with this, but I got a shock when I read, if you like, the last but one draft, because I became completely confused. I lost coherence. I lost comprehensibility. And then, Liz, when you said about the categories, I started really to get it back and got very excited indeed. And I remember yesterday morning I got up early and I started to work through those headings that you've given, which was in a very excited way. So that, for me, was a real transformation coming out of Struggle. Because, as I say, I had lost comprehensibility. And now, as I go through it, you've helped establish a transformation in my understanding, literally, of a culture of inquiry with the headings that you've actually put there. So that was very exciting for me. Very good.
And that came from, from our raw data, all of our raw data, right? Yeah. In seeing, going through it, all these themes. So, in actually writing it, we are doing the data analysis at the same time.
Yeah. But if I'm right, Cathy, I think what yourself and Liz did was generate those themes from the data. Mm-hmm. You then actually, if you like, announced those to Jackie and myself.
It was announced, actually.
It was. So that's what excited me, that you had done a lot of hard work on the original data. You'd actually generated those themes. And it was those, when you actually announced them to Jackie and myself, that helped me enormously to give comprehensibility and coherence to my own writing. So that was a vital part of the process, I think.
And it's interesting that we've kind of done this paper differently than the other paper. Okay. And in that the other paper, we started off with the framework and we're trying to find, that we'd all discussed and everything, but trying to find data to go into those. And, Mom. Different. I've got a call. Hang on.
Sure.
Yes, I'm hungry. Okay. I have boys that need a snack. I will be back.
Good.
Okay.
Yeah, I agree with Cathy this paper seems to have been a much more creative, a generative process of learning. Whereas the other, we were fitting our data within something almost we already understood.
Yeah, well, kind of a bit of the process that we went through was that, and Cathy likes to work that way.
Yeah.
She likes that, and it stifles my thinking, as you've all seen and heard. So we were going through my bit, and she was saying, well, what if you, do this, and this, which state your knowledge claims. And I was like, no, it's not feeling right. I don't know why. I said, what I think is important, and she jumped all over it, is that what we're doing here is we're living the culture of inquiry. We're living the self-study action research. We're living it in these conversations, right? And so to honor and respect that, we need to continue to live it, which means there's a space for each one of us to bring in our diverse thinking and our diverse approaches to how we tap into that embodied knowledge and how we make explicit our thinking. Even though we're writing a paper, which is, there's still, constraints and confinements and things we have to adhere to, because of the way we've done it, we've created a space that helps to transcend impoverished learning, right? We're showing an example of that. Because I wouldn't have been able to contribute otherwise, I don't think, or not the way we did. So Cathy said, yeah, that's great. We can do that. And then she looked at her section. We looked at her section, and she started to see the same themes and patterns emerging.
Yeah. Yes, but what I think you've done, Liz, is you've brought certain qualities into what you're calling a space. So when I, if you remember, started to take out the kind of dialogues that you were having, your conversational understandings, and you were generating these together, I then took a lot out in relation to almost imposing an analytic framework. And what I think you were right to resist was that transformation. You brought me back into a space where the qualities that you actually believe in, the sense of being loved into learning, and also a very creative process where you can hold open possibilities. You're not going to impose a pre-existing category system, and you're trusting this, if you like, sense-making, meaning-making. And I noticed that very strongly in terms of its influence on me as I moved back, to recognizing the importance of the conversations.
Yeah. I wonder how many Skype calls we've had.
Probably should be able to add them up.
Yeah. Because it might be important to sort of explain some of that, like this is how we got here. Otherwise, it looks like we just sat down and wrote.
Piece, really, it's a very important part of the multimedia piece.
Mm-hmm.
It's okay. All I was saying was, even as we're speaking, and Cathy was talking there, and you were talking, it's enhancing my own reflections about the nature of the learning that has gone on, and it wouldn't have happened without these Skype, the multimedia conversations. So that's really important.
And the fact that we can go back and watch them again and again.
Well, that last one was particularly significant for me. It was only 9 minutes, but Jackie outlined that sense of, the action planning process and imagined possibility of what would be an improvement. And also there was the energy between us, which I really enjoyed, that pooling of that sense of life-affirming energy. And that was in that 9 minutes. So I found that one particularly significant. Yeah.
And I think that also contributed to certainly mine, and I think I can speak for Cathy too, because we spent a fair bit of time together the other day, our confidence in going forward.
Yes, yeah.
So that gave us the confidence to delve back into the paper and see, okay, what can go, what can stay. We felt trusted and respected and able to take those academic risks, right?
Yeah, you see, at the moment, and the paper can't get too big, but with nothing about that transformation in it, have we?
No.
That for me was one of the most significant moments of working with you, where that transformation and understanding occurred, from me being completely confused, of having lost coherence and meaning. And then literally, within the few hours of you working together, you actually generated understandings from the data, which actually transformed it into what is now taking shape as the paper itself. But with nothing to indicate that, if you like, rather chaotic and creative process was very important in the transformation to the paper as it is now.
Yeah, so we need to make that explicit, because that also addresses some of the concerns about how it is chaotic and messy.
Yeah.
And you have to trust in the process and continue to respect, each individual's learning until the collaboration of the learning unfolds.
Yeah, because in this section we're doing at the moment on substantiated, if you like, the conclusions, if I were to take from the Google Drive, because we've still got that draft that was, for me, incoherent. You know, it got to the point where I couldn't make sense. Now, I could put that on my server so that we could have a URL for it, so that it could show people just what we went through in that. And it was a very fast transformation.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I will do that. I'll put it on my server as it stands, you know, that draft. So if we want to refer to it, we've got the URL that we can click on.
It might also be safe to say that it's quite unlikely that that transformation would have occurred without the Skype call.
Yeah.
Right?
I just want to add one thing, and that is that resisting closure was very important to how far we've come. Because that paper actually was chaotic before that last draft. It's been chaotic for a while.
Mm-hmm.
And resisting, saying, well, we need to start pulling this together, and just letting it go so that you got out everything that you need to get out, was a significant part of what's actually emerged.
Mm-hmm. And I think that's okay. And I think the mindfulness of that was in your hands, Jackie. Jackie, you may have realized that. I think Liz and I certainly, for speaking for myself, I was just in the mode of trying to make sense of my data, right?
Yeah.
And trying to write the story and trying not to think too much about where the paper was going, because I just needed to finish figuring it out for myself. But I think, maybe I'm wrong, Jackie, but you were mindful of the very fact that you were letting us go with it. And then it came to a point where you said, okay, now we need to go back. And Jackie may have been aware of the same thing in letting us go.
Okay, well, mine wasn't, okay. I think Jackie's possibly was, but mine was a growing sense of incomprehensibility. Okay,
so, there we have it. Jackie was resisting closure, and Jack was thinking this is incomprehensible.
Yeah.
And Cathy and Liz, confident in their learning and journey, ignored them both.
Yes, that's right.
That's what I knew they had to do.
Yeah, that's right. It was. And it really worked.
And we knew we just had to write. You kept saying it, Jack. You had to write yourself out.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. You said that. You knew that was part of the process, at least.
No, that's right. But then this creative process, as I say, this is what I think we need to focus on at some point, where you did this really creative work as you exercise your critical judgments with the data, and you came up with those headings which are transforming my understanding of a culture of inquiry. You know, you've brought into that sense of a culture of inquiry those understandings, and I'm working on those. You know, I've now started, I've filled each one, you know, I've actually responded to each one, and I now need to go and refine those. So it won't be longer, it'll just be a refinement. But that's really
what's amazing is reading what you've put into those headings reinforced and deepened my understanding of the headings themselves.
Right.
Yeah.
And it's lovely, isn't it? Because that is the educational process. That this is what I'm meaning about the relational dynamic. That something really new for me has happened through these Skype conversations, as Jackie says. And we've been influencing each other in different ways. Yeah, but Liz, you said it really well about this idea that each individual is retaining their uniqueness. And yet, we're doing this within, Jackie's not, of the culture of inquiry. And it's giving new meanings to that. So again, that is something I think in this final section, you know, we might actually draw out and,
Yeah.
Are you all right, Jackie, with this?
Yeah.
Good. So have you got a sense of a way, how would you like to move on now? Because, you know, I'm if you like, I feel okay that I can refine those sections. I can keep looking at that section that we're looking at now. And maybe we could each add something to that, what we are seeing as the substantiated, you know, it's almost like our evidence-based conclusions, the substantiated conclusions. And then we could get back to look at those and how they're looking to each other.
So do you normally write your substantiated conclusions and then your scholarly significance?
Yeah, I do. Because for me, the results and some substantiated conclusions are more about what actually happened in this process, and the scholarly is more in the bigger scheme of things. This is what's actually unique about this that contributes to this scholarly significance.
Okay, yeah. Just because it's a result or a substantiated conclusion, it might not be unique.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah.
And also, I think that last section allows you to stand back and really appreciate, if you like, the originality and the significance as what has been created in that substantiated conclusion section.
Yeah, this is not a replication of somebody else's research.
No.
If I just mention this, at the Action Research Network of the Americas, there's a workshop, I think, involving us all, and there's one that I've got an individual one, which is saying, what can the AERA learn from the action research of others? What can, if you like, AERA help others to learn? Now, I think what we've done here will be able to come into that in the sense that what could the Action Research Network of the Americas, this comes into, I think, our scholarly significance section, as well as the substantiated conclusions. So I do think we'll be able to take this, as well as an AERA, and actually develop it in the AERA one.
I was thinking that it could continue to grow, and we would have a informal partnership come out of ARNA, and so these Sunday morning Skype calls could become a regular thing, and we'll have to get some kind of new software or something, because we're going to have 50 people, and then we'll put them together at the end of the year and call it a conference or something.
No, I really like that idea, Liz. Seriously. You'll meet Joan Walton and at AERA and ARNA, and Joan has got this symposium, a colloquium, at the end of July. And it's all about researching one's own practice and the significance of that. I'm going to check out with Marie Huxtable tomorrow Google Hangouts, because like we're using Google Drive and it's worked successfully, Google Hangouts has also got a multi-screen facility. And it saves it saves it automatically. So it might be possible, Liz, to extend what you've just said, which I like that idea very much. It links with Sonny Hutchinson's idea about pooling our energy. So, I'd love to bear that in mind and see what we can make of it.
Well, that TED clip that I sent you, that's what he had done. He had taken singers from all over the globe, and they've kept in mind the delay that sometimes comes, and then worked with it.
It was superb, that. It was, and that I'm sure we will be able to extend this now, because the quality of these is by far better than anything that I've seen done with multi-screen work. So I think we'll be able to extend it. Great.
I read about that conference, Jack, and it was very intriguing, because that's very much what I'm interested in.
Yeah.
So I'm hoping that they'll post some of the talks, because obviously I can't be there in North Bay for the month. I'm hoping that they'll post some of that, and I'm going to send her an email to that effect. But it made me think, too. I was thinking about my PhD, and I'll just throw this out there, and then if any of you ever have any ideas, if you don't mind sharing them at a later time. But I was thinking it might be kind of interesting to try and create a cyber conference where, so instead of, having our informal partnerships, right, they evolve into, say, regular Sunday gatherings, but that we actually put out a call for submissions and create a schedule and have a cyber conference. I was thinking I could work that into my PhD. And I'm specifically interested in the sustainability of living educational theory.
You see, Liz, if you would suggest that to Joan, you see, we could take that from the AERA conference on the 1st and 2nd of May. We could have Skype conversation with Cathy and yourself from the colloquium in Liverpool, so we can actually get this process underway.
Yes, yes.
And we can link it in with your PhD. If you were to send me your doctoral proposal, I could circulate that to the practitioner researcher group. I think we could get this underway. I could, direct them to one or two of our videos on YouTube to say, we very much want to extend this. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So we could certainly get that underway. I'd love to do that.
Perfect.
Look at her.
Liz, I'm trying to keep all these balls in the air at the same time. You might want to talk to Margaret Reel at AERA, because she's done some of these. She uses, what does she use? Blackboard process?
I'm not sure which one it is. I thought it was Moodle, but it may be Blackboard.
Moodle, that's it.
Yes.
So she's done some of these. You might ask her what some of the interesting obstacles have been.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, do you want me to put you in touch with Margaret? Because I could just email you both and say, look, Liz is very keen to do this, and we've already got these conversations going, and we'll be presenting at AERA. Margaret, I'm not... Yeah, good. Well, let's just try it. That's a really great idea, Jackie.
All right.
So I've waited to throw this out, so this may get shot down, but the number of things that we're articulating in the results, do they fall within the themes in the data section?
I'd have to go back and check that.
Yeah.
Oh, I see. I like that idea. You mean? Oh, I see what you mean. Yes.
I mean, there is some logic to that.
Yes, there is.
What are you looking at?
Those categories that you came up with, Liz and Cathy.
And, building trust and whatever it is, unveiling embodied knowledge. I think it might. Do you think that transition from chaos to themes is unveiling embodied knowledge in some ways? I don't know.
That's living curriculum, isn't it?
You could come into both of those.
Yeah.
It's just that we're getting a very long list of things, and I'm just quickly going through them. It seems that there is some connection between the headings or themes and what's coming up here.
There's certainly, what if we put the themes in and just cut and paste and see what happens? Because I see this one, Liz, confidence to delve back into the paper, trusted and respected to take academic risks, et cetera, et cetera. I mean, that's certainly building trust and...
Well, and it's making explicit, too, I think, this process that we've gone through. Maybe this is where, Jack, we put in that video of the last Skype call.
Yeah, I've included it. So I think it's worth stressing the importance of that.
Okay.
Or take a clip from this call right here where we talk through that.
What I'd love to try, it's rather like when Jackie said what she'd like me to do. Yeah, and it transformed the contribution I was making. And this idea that Jackie, where you've just said, look, let's take those categories that Cathy and Liz came up with, put them into that, the substantiated conclusion section, and see whether we can actually produce something together which have genuinely got the we responses in.
Yeah.
Because that's really what we're doing. We're taking kind of what our learnings were, the data analysis within that section, looking at the kind of themes that you've drawn out of them, and then saying, well, what were the results?
Mm-hmm. So you have a list of them at the beginning of yours, Jack. Do you want me to copy that and put it at the bottom?
Yes, do. Let's see, under the results. And we could all play with that, I think.
What are you doing? What?
We're nearly done. You can have your...
I don't think that's going to get you more candy, though.
Mm.
No.
Oh, dear.
Is that Sebastian or Jay?
That's Sebastian. He didn't like the granola bars I found. Okay, data collection. Here we go. Okay, of loved into learning. I've got most of them anyway. Okay, where are we?
Under results and substantiated conclusions, I think. Is that right?
Yeah.
What page is that now?
I've got 45. But
Yeah.
point 7.
Okay, so I'm going to go down to the blue part. Is that okay? We're under confab.
Why don't you put it at the beginning, Kat?
Yeah.
Oh,
Just under results and substantiated conclusions.
yeah.
So right underneath, okay.
Yeah, there. That's it.
Okay, so...
Yeah. That should be challenge and obstacles, should it? Or challenge and...
Yeah, I just...
Okay, that's
I
all
had
right.
trouble, I don't have a mouse on this one, so I just...
Okay.
I've actually got them written down so I can show.
Oops.
Is that good?
And I'm not sure if we need practice necessarily, or maybe we do. I thought that for me anyway, that a lot of this, students as co-researchers building trust and respect, unveiling a body of knowledge, etc., that was part of praxis. But
Can we, if we just leave it in, if that's all right for the moment,
Yep.
because there's something, as I say, in the way that you've been helping with the transformation of my own understandings, which I'd like to bring into that sense of praxis. So I'll have a go. Now, could I just ask, because I'm supposed to go at 8 o'clock. Yes. Are we okay in terms of working on this?
Mm-hmm.
okay, so do we want? Shall the rest of us, if when you go, just have a quick discussion of what next steps, or like
Yeah, sure.
how we might put things in there? And
Yeah,
then,
by all means. I can leave
I
this
can
running.
call you back.
Well, I don't mind. I can just leave this running. Okay. I'll just leave this running and go.
and when we hang up, it'll.
No. You won't.
You just don't want to be left out, Jack.
No, I'll just leave it going. I promised Joan that I would be next door at 8 o'clock. But that's really great to see you. And just let me know when you want to link up again, and I'll be on.
Okay.
Okay, that's
Tomorrow's
really...
a holiday for these two, so it's probably one of the days, eh?
Okay, whatever you like. It is for me as well.
Bye.
Okay, bye. I'll see you soon. Ta.
Love his chair. I want a chair like that.
Okay, so when you look at those, do they look like that might work?
Could we cut and paste stuff? And put it in?
I think that's fine.
So, under the conflab, we've got sustainable evolution from Jack to Liz. Transcends boundaries. I'm just going to cut that out. Do we want a separate thing for sustainability, though? Or do you think that is influencing self and others? That is the sustainability we're talking about, isn't it?
Yeah.
Okay. So I put it under influencing self, others, and social formations.
Yeah.
But I don't want to feel that we have to be married exactly to these headings.
No.
If you want to put after that sustainability, that works for me too.
I'll put in there in brackets sustainability. I mean, I think that's one of our results is that we're seeing is that in a way, even that living legacy and the fact that it's that idea is implying that you're working with a mentor, I think that's all part of the sustainability, don't you? That we're seeing, in a way, for us, at least, Liz, part of the sustainability, and I think Jackie, is that we've had these relationships, long-term relationships with people in a culture of inquiry that have helped us sustain, because we might have given up otherwise because of the challenges.
I think that if we just leave the headings there and copy and paste what we think goes in there, that's not to say that that heading has to change. But those were the headings for our data analysis, right? So we can now look at those and say, okay, what's our substantiated conclusion from that?
Right.
What's the result of that data analysis? And we might actually have completely different headings. Like one could be sustainability, and we might find that 2 or 3 of those things go into sustainability. I suspect all of them will, actually. But let's just do that, what you're saying, Cathy. Let's just copy and paste things where we think they best fit now.
And I'll leave the originals at the bottom. Okay. So the next...
Okay.
Yeah? Or cut them out?
I'd cut them, just so we can see that we've dealt with them. It's just easier.
Okay, so
and I think we have a lot of repetition down there. So while you're doing that, I'm going to look at what else is written there to see if there's another piece that can go under there. You know what I'm saying?
Yep. So I'm just going to cut living curriculum, and I think we have a living curriculum section, so that it's obvious. And Jack in the science classroom, inquiry versus given question, that's still living curriculum.
Are all the titles there? Oh, sorry, I need to move down. No.
Okay, Jack learnt relational dynamics. Liz and Cathy focus on classroom. Jackie, relationships with us. Jack, transformation of educational knowledge through multimedia within a culture of inquiry. Categories by Liz and Cathy, helpful in significant known understanding. So, what do you think about that one? Do you have any advice on that one, Jack?
They're different points, aren't they?
The first point is this one is influences.
Yeah.
So there? Is that where you are?
Yeah.
So that one I put under influences?
Yeah.
And I'm just putting all the influences in one section, whether it's inside or outside the classroom. Because I'm not...
This next one could be a living curriculum one. We may change... Go ahead.
No, go ahead. We may change.
Or actually, that could even be influencing social formations outside the classroom, because that's this community, right?
Yeah. Or I was going to say unveiling embodied knowledge, because through using the multimedia, you are using that to unveil your own embodied knowledge, and so I think there's a variety of things. So where did you say first?
Living curriculum.
Okay, I'll put it there.
I see living curriculum kind of
differently,
like lived experience,
Well, the problem with that is it may hit everything.
Yeah, yep. I know. Yeah, so I think what you said, Cathy.
So using...
unveiling embodied knowledge.
Okay, but But using, right under unveiling body knowledge, I'm going to use your blue, just so that it's 4A blue. Using video, multimedia to unveil, ... So do you want me to move that one? Transformation through multimedia? You know, I'll put that up there. Okay. Okay, the next one is Liz getting to witness Jack's process, helping me, creating a space for that transitional time, not smooth stories. Do we want to put that category of obstacles, challenges and obstacles that we were going to do together?
Sure. Yeah. Because we might have results from that too, right?
Yeah. Oh, it's there anyway. So, do you agree that creating a space for that transitional time, not smooth stories, is under challenges?
Yes.
Okay.
Well, yeah. What do
Jack?
you think, Jackie, I mean?
Sorry, I'm kind of on another spot here, so...
Okay, carry on.
So Jack, shock and last one draft, confused, and categories helping to transform, coming out of struggle. If we consider the struggle a challenge, I would say it's that, but...
it's also part of the process, and we acknowledge that it's part of the process, right?
Yeah, yeah.
That's the living contradiction
so
that
do we
inspires...
put that under this? That's, you know...
I think that could come under unveiling embodied knowledge, too.
Okay. That there is inherent in that process a feeling of
also,
chaos.
Yeah. It's also co-researching and building trust and respect.
I'm still not clear on why he was shocked. It wasn't suddenly that much different.
But
maybe he was shocked at how lost he was.
And maybe in the understanding that we were all working really hard on this and doing a lot of things, and then saying, okay, we're done this section, and then he's expecting to see coherence, and there wasn't any.
No, that's right. We weren't there yet.
So, again, raw data, analyzing. Is that still embodied knowledge?
Sorry, where are you, Cathy? I can't see your...
Okay, I'm going up to the I'll just put it under unveiling, and then you can read it and see if you think. Mm-hmm. So the next one was, I was talking about the themes coming from our raw data analysis and generating the themes. Jack's announced hard work on original data gave comprehensibility in our own writing.
That's influencing. It's unveiling.
Yeah. So I'm not in unveiling at the moment. Okay. All right. Living the self-study, action research, and the writing of the paper. Room to bring in our diverse... I think this is the living curriculum, isn't it? That we're living the self-study, action research while we're writing the paper. Room to bring in our diverse approaches and make explicit our thinking because of the way we've done it. It transcends impoverished learning themes in Liz's and then found in Cathy's. I don't know.
Sure. See, the whole problem with the whole living educational theory in a loving community of inquiry is that the boundaries are very blurry. But that's what makes it effective and unique and inclusive and able to transcend boundaries. Because it isn't this cookie cutter kind of fixed box, right?
Yeah. So are we equating now living theory with lived curriculum or living curriculum?
I think you could probably have a living curriculum without doing living educational theory. I think there's other ways people are getting students to do action research, right? Like Tanya, maybe, I don't know if she's continuing to use living educational theory or another form of action research. But I think living educational theory is one way at getting to a living curriculum. Do you agree, or?
Mm-hmm.
Or are we going to define it as values-based?
Well, the problem for me is the traditional definition of curriculum is pretty black and white. I mean, if we're using the definition of everything that happens in the school as curriculum, that's one thing. But if we're using the definition of here's a curriculum document which you are currently implementing, or, reshaping in order to implement, I don't see living theory as a curriculum. It is a methodology.
Right.
But what does he say about lived curriculum? I'm getting confused here.
Yeah. I think I missed this part, Liz. While you're looking for that, Jackie, can I go ahead with this?
Mm-hmm.
There's one part here, Liz. It says, Liz resisted. Liz brought Jack into a space where hold open for possibilities. Influence on Jack. Does that ring a bell?
I think that was Jack talking.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So, sorry, where are you? Show me your cursor.
It's just underneath. I've got a blue highlighted section under Conflab on March 31st.
Okay.
Whoops, I unhighlighted it.
You're calling his face. Yeah, that was Jack saying how he was influenced. Well, we were talking about resistance.
Right? So that would go under influences.
I think so.
For now.
Mm-hmm.
So Liz, confidence to develop back into the paper. I think, didn't I already put that up there? To take academic risks, transformations in the paper, chaotic process, significant in the paper, trust in the process. Okay, so that's
all of it, sort of. That was the whole process.
Yeah. I was going to say a lot of that is, building trust and respect in our process. But
well, we are trusting and respecting the process and the individuality of the unique contributions. So we can put it under building trust and respect, but it.
Or could it go through praxis in terms of this is what we did?
Yeah. Yeah, there's a lot of overlap.
Yeah.
But by doing this, we might actually see a new title, right? We might see a new result.
Critical judgment in finding heading for paper. What's that part?
Well, that was part of the praxis, wasn't it?
That's what you did when you came up with that heading. You used your critical judgment in determining those themes and headings.
Okay. So I'll put that under praxis.
Yeah. And I'll put the next one under influence, I think.
Okay. What was that one?
That was Cathy's understanding being enhanced by reading what Jack had to say.
Yeah. There's one here, something of Skype conversations, pooling of life
importance. That's NBN's importance. Sorry.
That's okay. You were.
Yeah, I know. Right.
Okay, where are we going to put that? Importance of Skype conversations, pooling of life affirming energy in conversation.
Well, that's
have a category for that.
Influence on others?
My sweetheart.
That could be influencing social formations too, because we were influencing our informal partnership.
I think it goes under that heading, influencing self, others, and social formations.
Yeah.
All right. So we're done the little section here, but now we get into things that we've done, like from the conversations before when YouTuber. So do we want to continue to put those?
Why not? Yeah.
So let's go back. You asked me to look up living curriculum.
Yep. Yeah.
Okay, so what Jack says in his section is how he took the given curriculum and modified it to meet the needs of his students, whether it was in his science classroom or master's students or PhD students. That's what he's used as the explanation of living curriculum.
So meeting student needs. Modifying, adjusting, revising the curriculum to meet the student needs.
For me, it's it's not the fidelity issue, that you must, faithfully implement exactly what this curriculum says, but that you look at the big ideas in it and say, okay, what do they need to know to pass the requirements of the evaluation, and still, learn the more important things that may be significant to their needs.
Yeah.
And I mean, your example, Cathy, of not giving the kids questions, but allowing them and supporting them to find their own questions. So you wouldn't see anywhere in the curriculum it says, teach kids how to come up with their own questions.
Yes, you do, actually.
Oh, do you?
Yeah, it's the curriculum. And there's a lot of metacognitive stuff in each section of the curriculum, which fits in a lot of what we're doing. But the other thing is, students are supposed to be able to come up with their own goals and formulate their own questions and that sort of thing.
Okay.
Yeah, but,
They're supposed to be able to identify their values too. One of my colleagues in the reflection course that I'm doing, who's actually a board lead, went through the curriculum document and found, like, in this one grade or subject area, there was 45 or something instances of requiring students to reflect or to generate their own knowledge or something like that, and yet there's nothing anywhere else to support how to do that.
Yeah.
Well, I think that's our point, isn't it? That even if it is referenced in the curriculum, most or many people don't know what to do with it.
No.
And if you don't know your own values, how can you teach students to understand their own values?
Yeah.
So maybe that's a significant point there.
I thought that was one of our big significant points, Jackie, was that, we have to start with a self-study before we can even support the curriculum. Never mind, support the living curriculum and the given curriculum.
In a way, you've got to live those curriculum expectations before you can understand how to do it with your kids. That's what you're saying in a different, yeah. And I think that's the same with PLCs. We've got all this money to do professional learning communities, but we have not very many leaders who know how to facilitate that because they haven't done it themselves. They don't know what it looks like.
It themselves, yeah.
Hmm.
So then it just becomes that vicious cycle, right?
Yeah. I'm trying to tell whether Dickens back or not.
Mm-hmm.
Look out with your discard there.
I don't know, I'm just kind of catching what we've just said.
Good.
Oops. Because of our experiences in creating our own living theory, I get this backward every time. I don't know, is that got anything to do with what we're doing?
Sorry, where are you writing that?
Under living curriculum.
Okay, I'll go take a look. Well, many curricula, that part, include outcomes.
Outcomes or expectations?
Expectations. Mm-hmm.
And reflection too, Jackie. I guess that's part of metacognition, but not necessarily.
Yeah, a lot of the metacognitive stuff is, being able to say how their own experience. It's right in there, Jackie. Like how their own experience, how their own embodied knowledge affects what they learn from a text, or how knowing their own strengths. It can articulate their own strengths and next steps in, whatever strand. It's quite a good curriculum in that. Like there is quite a lot of this straight in there. It's just, how do you know how to do it if you've never been through the system yourself? It's the same with math. It's a lot of math that we never learned.
Yeah. And when we go to PD sessions and we're given new curriculum documents and there's this, heightened resistance, it's because people are looking at that and they have no idea how to understand the value or appreciate the value of that because they haven't lived it.
Yeah.
So it just looks like wishy-washy.
Yeah. And I do think, like where I am now, and I've been in other places where, people really do work on asking questions that, of the kids that, like those metacognitive ones. How does what affect your understanding of this text? That's used quite a bit. And, I'm not saying everywhere, but with some of the people I've worked with at least.
Let's put that in a spin. As an example, in the grade 6, what does it say?
I'll find it. Hang on.
You can just copy and paste it, maybe, Cathy.
Yeah. So, I'm most familiar with the language because I've been working on it with a group on this. But like we're this one group I'm with, we're working on rewriting the CASI. Do you know the CASI? It's a standardized comprehension assessment, and we're writing the Blue Water comprehension assessment for grade 4 to 8. And we're focusing on, instead of like the CASI has sort of a retell, like summarize the story and what's the author's purpose, and they're very formatted questions that go through every single test along the grades, and we're changing that to have the higher order thinking questions in and metacognition, and so that'll be going out hopefully for trial by the end of this year, and then eventually be used. So it's just the one I'm familiar with the most. Okay, 6. Take me a minute if you want to do something else.
So when a student says, I don't know how I know this, this is where I think this kind of learning stops, because a teacher may not know how to help them unveil that embodied knowledge, right?
Yeah. So I'm just going to... I think we'll leave this first.
Should we?
Well,
because
remember, we're writing about our results under this living curriculum. So what are our results about what we're saying about living curriculum? Does that last paragraph address it?
Yeah, because of our experiences in creating our own living theories. And I was just going to say, maybe we could add, because of our experiences, including our struggles? Or is that implied? In creating our own living theories, we feel confident in addressing these issues in our classrooms. Dialogue on values is not commonplace in educational environments. That might not be so true, or it's partly true. We have to make it more explicit. Dialogue on values that were unveiled, by the individual, that are based on embodied knowledge, that are discovered through self-study, something like that. Because there's all kinds of stuff in the curriculum about values, that whole character education thing. But it's not enough, right? It's telling people what's important and what's... So that's the difference. We don't give curriculum for values. We honor the discovery of the values. So we need to make that explicit.
So are you writing that, Liz?
I can. I was up here, but I'll move down.
I just put 2 in here. So, and you can maybe tell me, Jack, if you think this is what we're looking for. So, while many curricula include expectations that address teaching students to reflect and to know their own values and make values and metacognition, without having experience as a teacher, this is complex to teach to others. As an example, in the grade 6 curriculum in Ontario, an expectation in writing states students will identify a variety of strategies they used before, during, and after writing to explain which ones were most helpful and suggest further steps they can take to improve as writers. Or, in reading, students will extend understanding of text by connecting, comparing, and contrasting ideas in them to their own knowledge, experience, and insights, to other familiar texts, and to the world around them. So I do think in reflecting on this, there is a big push that I've heard in all schools I've been in on schema in elementary school, and what's embodied knowledge and what students already know, because in order to get when we're grading students in their responses to reading comprehension questions, you are specifically looking for them to give an answer and to back up proof from their own experience and proof from the text. And, so embodied knowledge, the students are that's done well, which is nice, but, and there is a big movement to, whenever in a unit, to talk to the students about what they already know. And that a difference in, I'm sure not everybody's doing it, but it may be a big difference between the elementary panel and the secondary. I don't know.
That's just what I was thinking, Cathy. Well, that's absolutely wonderful. Too bad more of that wasn't happening at the secondary level.
Like Jack said earlier about empty vessels and people assuming, well, I've been in, I don't know how long schema has been, at least Ontario, schema has been a big thing. And what students know and the fact that they come with different understandings. It's huge in the math that we're doing in terms of, open-ended problem solving, and, you are not supposed to teach kids standard algorithms for say, addition or multiplication. You get that the kids come up with, and you honor their embodied knowledge by actually pasting their work up as your anchor charts. So up in my room, you'll see, and I hadn't really made the connection before now that there is a good deal of embodied knowledge valued.
I don't know whether in these examples we've hit anywhere on their values.
No, and I don't think so. But the embodied knowledge is there and reflecting.
Yeah.
So we maybe modify that,
Yeah. So although dialogue on well, Cathy, maybe you should write this little section because.
So is there actually the word values and talking about values in the curriculum?
And I think what I'd have to do is open this up in not that I've seen, but I could open. I think you find it in the social studies and science curricula, in terms of it may not be value, but there's certainly that'll be a project for me. Because that's interesting.
I think we don't need 6 examples. I think we just need 1. And neither of these really touches on values that I can see.
Yeah.
The ideas in their own knowledge, experience, and insights.
No, I see embodied knowledge and reflection, but not values. Because the title of this section is called Reflection and something else, extending understanding in one of them, and the other one is reflecting and something other. Metacognition, reflecting, on strategies. To reflect and to
I think we're getting off our.
Yeah.
We're getting off onto another tangent here.
But if I put on here, but there's a lack of value, do you want me to?
Well, we don't know yet, do we? Is it in the secondary curriculum list?
I'm just looking.
I mean, we're off on a tangent here that we can't prove.
Whoops.
So in the grade 12 philosophy curriculum, and I knew about this one, but this is what I've done. I've flipped it. So it says, by the end of this course, students will summarize the main questions, concepts, and theories of, in this particular unit, it's metaphysics. Evaluate the strengths and weaknesses of responses to some of the main questions of metaphysics defended by some major philosophers and schools of philosophy and defend their own responses. And then the third one is demonstrate the relevance of metaphysical questions and theories to everyday life. So what we've done is taken that point and put it first and foremost, and then let the rest fall into place. And it's not so much everyday life, but to their own lived experiences, right? Like, what are your own lived experiences? What are your values? And then you can see why the metaphysical theories may or may not be relevant. But it doesn't specifically say that.
I've got.
So are we off on a tangent that's taking? Is this something we learned?
No, it's something we're looking for.
We are taking a look though at. I mean, I think it is important, but we're talking about how, unless you've lived it, I don't know.
Let's just leave it just now and go on.
Okay.
Maybe. How's that?
Yeah.
Think about it.
So I'm back at the first point.
Sorry, Jackie, where are you?
I'm on the first point under living curriculum.
Oh, okay. So we were looking for evidence of that, yeah. I think what's important to point out here, Jackie, is that it's focusing on the needs of the student first. This is the relational dynamics is the priority. Then the lived experiences of the student, and then we get into other curriculum. Yeah. And then for our example, we can actually use, well, we've got Jack's example, and then we've got our own example from this process.
Who's got a cricket?
I don't know.
I'm thinking it's you, Cathy.
Maybe it's a Skype cricket.
Maybe Jack.
Yeah.
He's still on, isn't he?
Okay, I know this is an aside, but I just had to look through the science curriculum, and there's a lot about values in there, but it's about appreciating a variety of values on a topic, especially environmental topics. And it talks about the fact that children at these ages are developing values that they will hold for the rest of their lives. It's important to expose them to different points of view on issues of environmental importance, especially so that they can make informed judgments. But there's nothing about taking a look at what they value, in particular. It's about a variety of values. We had put something about mindfulness in there. I don't know, it kind of reminds me of this, in that I think the video helps you develop ability to be mindful of those living contradictions, but that, if you go through this process enough, you kind of become aware. The video still helps, but you do develop a greater sense of mindfulness of those living contradictions. I felt that way when I was doing my report cards, and that I knew there was something going on there, and so I wrote about it because I recognized the feel of a living contradiction.
So
I don't know.
So that's trusting that intuitive and embodied knowledge, right?
And it's the effect of the praxis of going through this model of,
Is that because it became a habit, Cathy?
Yeah. And the fact that we ask, are you videotaping this? All those habits that...
Yeah.
Is there a curriculum around writing papers?
Well...
If there is, I don't think we're following it.
Yeah, but that's our next point here, and what is the curriculum around? I think we're living this creative process as we write the paper, but I'm not sure what it has to do with living curriculum.
No.
Well, what if we even consider the structure? The structure of a paper, and trying to... The very fact that we had to write ourselves out and then try and fit it into some sort of structure. And find a structure that, the traditional curricula for writing a paper doesn't include putting video clips in.
Or writing yourself out and then seeing where it goes. So basically what we did was write these extensive narratives and then look for patterns and themes, and then look to see how those would align with, the paper we were co-writing. So basically that's exactly what we did in our living theory too, right? We wrote narratives, we identified patterns and themes, And then we looked at, so why is this significant? What does this mean? How am I going to act on this?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Now, are self-study and action research hyphenated?
Action research is not. Self-study can be.
Yeah. Okay. And I see that Jack, and I wanted to ask him this, so I'm asking you, your empty chair, Jack, what is the right way, or what is the preferred way now of writing living educational theory? I have seen it so many different ways, and I guess that's the beauty of it. It continues to evolve. But now I notice Jack writing it, one word hyphenated twice. Living hyphen educational hyphen theory.
He says that that's when he's being lazy. It should be living educational theory, but that's what he does when he's being lazy.
Yeah, but he did write living educational theory, but he hyphenated it.
Oh, did he? Why did he?
Yeah.
That's
why I said it's new. It's continuing to evolve. You see, it's indicative of the whole process. But I think we should be consistent. Huh?
I'm still wondering if this fits living curriculum, but I'm continuing.
Yeah, well. And maybe this is an example for praxis in it, putting this into, I don't know if it's praxis, but what we actually are doing is, we're evolving what we're doing. It's happening as it happens, and it's not prescribed. It's not following a curriculum. It's unfolding.
Write that down, Cathy.
I don't know where to put it, but I'll just put it underneath here. Is that what I just said?
So we're not following a prescribed curriculum, but the curriculum is unfolding as we go.
But our process is unfolding. I don't know.
Yeah, so then it gets back to Jackie's point, and that is this a curriculum, right?
I don't know. A prescribed method.
So we have to define curriculum earlier on. We have to say that it is life, right? For us, like everything that goes on in the school or in learning.
Well, that's my definition, but I mean, when your common definition is that piece of, paper with 25 pages and it says you'll do this and this and this and this.
Mm-hmm.
Well, did we say that? We've learned that the living curriculum goes beyond the boundaries of the given curriculum by focusing on the needs of the student first.
Mm-hmm. And it doesn't negate the use of the given curriculum. It just lets it becomes relevant when it's relevant, right?
No.
Gets addressed when it's, like right now we were just talking about when to hyphenate a word and when not to. We didn't do a grammar study before we started writing this paper together, right?
Oh, we did many years ago.
Yeah, I know, but it didn't help me know right now whether self-study is one word or two.
That's right.
Whole language. Didn't have grammar. Not very much.
You see, I like the point in this next paragraph, but I'm not sure that this is a result from what we've just done.
Yeah. You put in a parking lot?
Where are you now? What Cathy just wrote?
This thing about the grade 6 curriculum and values and that, I mean, it's interesting, but what's it got to do with what we've just done?
You know, we're getting off on a different paper.
I think I'm putting it in my parking lot because that's a very interesting thing I would like to look into.
Oh, we generated the next question already.
I think it's fascinating. I think I hadn't really thought about what we're doing as compared to the elementary curriculum, and I think it's a fascinating study because I think there is a heck of a lot of really good stuff in our curriculum. It's just sometimes we don't get to the deeper things, and I think there is a movement to go to the deeper expectations like metacognition, but again, I think there's a lack of the marrying the character education with the curriculum and making.
Getting into your disciplines approach again. So we talk about values and character education, but we don't in math.
Yeah. Well, yeah, but I think the people I'm working with do. I wonder
why that is, Cathy.
I wonder.
Here we've got something for our influencing section.
Yeah. Anyway, it is. Yeah.
See, I mentioned that whole idea of integration. I mean, this is such old stuff now. I mean, that's what we wrote in the common curriculum. That if we integrated all these outcomes, we could get through the number of them. But because we take them all individually and try to teach them in different disciplines, nobody can get through all the outcomes or expectations.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's another topic.
Mm-hmm.
So the next paragraph goes with the one we just took out, is it?
Because
is there a point here?
You're looking right here?
Yeah. No, wait a minute. Maybe there's a point here that we want to make.
Although dialogue is included.
No, got tense issues there. Anyway.
Well, this is true. The first sentence is true, right?
Yeah.
And I think you need not just addressing values, but addressing individual values, because I think values are being addressed. As I said, it's in the science curriculum. And I think people do take a look at different points of view, right? But I don't think they necessarily. They don't look at an individual person in the classroom, their value, and
self-proclaimed values. I'm just giving you a heads up, guys. I've got about 6 minutes before I have to tune out for a couple of hours.
Yeah, me too.
Well, what do we want to do as a go forward here?
Yeah, let's get our next steps. I think we need to continue looking at the other points that we had brainstormed at various times under conclusions and see if they fit under any of those headings.
So do we all want to do that, or do we want to take one of these themes or other, or do we want to... How many topics have we got? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We each took 2. We could cover them all, have some kind of a rudimentary draft.
Okay.
So
I have got 2 other papers and a project to finish for next weekend. So my time this week on this will be quite limited. Sorry, but I can certainly do that.
Okay, so are you talking about the points above? Okay.
Well, we've got 6 topics here that we're trying to do in the results section. If we each took 1 or 2, it'd be all done for a first draft, and then we could all tack it.
Yep. Mm-hmm. Okay. And that includes going over the bottom extra stuff and putting it in where we see fit. Okay.
That's good.
Okay. So, Liz, do you have a preference as to what would be easiest for you to do, seeing as you have lots of other stuff?
Thank you for that opportunity. Yeah, I think loved into learning covers a lot of this, right? Like all of these are, being loved. I keep getting hung up on the overlap.
Well, I mean, maybe these titles don't work. It was just something that I thought there is a logic to it if we're doing results on what we found as themes.
Yeah. So I'll do loved into learning and unveiling embodied knowledge. How's that?
Okay.
Okay, unveiling, building trust. Okay, so I'm making those orange, and then...
Oh, you got it? Okay.
Yeah. Okay. So,
Oh, you're orange today, Cathy.
What? Oh, yeah, maybe. I'm wondering about the topic of praxis being the actual action we take to turn theory into
action.
If that is almost the same as the living curriculum. I think it's a process by which it becomes a living curriculum. By doing action research, by actually living what we're talking about, it becomes, do you know what I mean? I don't know.
Well, it becomes our living theory. Right? And that's what Jackie was saying earlier. Are we
Well, I think Cathy found that because she made these others as subheadings, which makes me think that maybe it's inherent in some of the other headings and needs not to be one of its own. But Jack liked it, remember?
Right.
But maybe we would give that one to Jack.
Yeah.
Is that devious?
It is devious.
Well,
we'll take whatever the other ones that
But if we just leave it, he plans on writing under all of them anyway, so we'll just leave it.
All right.
See what he says about it. How about we do that?
Okay.
And if he watches this whole video and sees that we're up to this, then
I think there is a bit of my writing below that would fit into praxis. So I'm a praxis too. So I'm going to put that in and see what you think of it. So I'm going to put this as slightly green too. Anyway, for now, and then he can add more to that.
What ones do you want to do, Cathy?
I'm just trying to think. Okay, how about I have a go at the influencing?
Yeah, I think it's a big one.
yeah.
Just to see. Would you rather have the big one? You've already done.
So do you want me to do students as co-researchers?
Sure.
You might be good for doing the challenges and obstacles too, Jackie.
Okay.
I'll highlight that blue.
Where does that leave us?
So I've got students as co-researchers, challenge and obstacles. Cathy's doing self, others, and social formations. You're doing embodied knowledge. We're still going to build trust and respect. Oh.
Why don't you do that when Jackie, instead of students as co-researchers?
Yeah.
Okay, who's doing students as co-researchers?
Just leave that for now.
Yeah, because I think that might disappear.
Okay.
It might fit into
Praxis.
praxis, yeah.
All right.
It came right after praxis in my writing, so it was just a guidepost heading, right?
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Okay, so that's how we're going to get on, and then after we finish that, we'll know exactly what has to go into our scholarly significance. Now let's just have a quick look at what Jackie copy and pasted into the beginning of that section again. From our purpose. I've just lost my page. Oh, there. Where did she put that? Oh.
Did we do it social formations outside the classroom? We didn't do that one.
I put them together. Like I didn't use the two titles. I just dumped everything that was influenced under the one title.
Okay.
So I can take a look at that and see if it's two different things or if we're just talking about influence, because it gets kind of messy when we're talking about what we're doing as a group, because our influence is going off in all these different directions.
Okay.
I think.
Jackie, is that paragraph still there that you copied and pasted at the very beginning of this session? I can't see it. From our purpose? Where did you put it?
I think it's down. It's underneath these. It's underneath. It's placeholder. It's right underneath challenges and obstacles.
Do you want that back?
Oh, there. Yeah. Okay, got it. that transforms social formations. Oh, okay. Yeah. In their classrooms.
So I've got a doctor's appointment tomorrow for about an hour, but other than that, I'm going to be working on this. And so what's our next plan to do the scholarly significance? Or do you just want me to write it?
I'm going to have to dedicate all of tomorrow to my other papers, and I doubt I'll get them finished then. But I'm going to give it a go. And who knows, the way we've been going here, I might just get them done. But how about if we just say leave it for a few days, and then anytime we can, we go in and write whatever we can. And
you do know that it's due on Friday, do you?
Friday. Yeah.
Well, would you have a go at writing the scholarly significance, and then, like, I could meet with you tomorrow to go over, if you had a first go at it, and then I take a look at it and we talk about it, or I don't know what you want to do.
Okay. Well, you can tell when we're on, right?
Yeah.
It's not a secret.
No. And that's what I guess I was getting at. I'll keep an eye. You know, I'll be taking a break from my writing, and I can check in and see what's there and put in my 2 cents for what it's worth.
I mean, we got a lot of kind of rambling stuff in here that just, I mean, some of it's going to be repetitive.
Yeah. That was our brainstorming, right? That was our writing ourselves out.
That's right.
Okay.
Okay?
Okay.
Yep. And I will, I know I have section to finish on mine. I took the report card writing section out, and I have to summarize that and put it in.
We've got to put all these clips back in that we took out.
Yeah. Okay. One step at a time.
Yeah.
All right. Good to see you.
And I'm off all weekend next weekend to my course. So, I mean, I know it's due Friday, but I'll be leaving here Friday at noon and heading to King City, and I'm there Friday night, Saturday, and home late Saturday night. So,
well, that's got to be in Friday. So
yeah, okay.
So
that will not impinge at all on your weekend.
Okie dokie.
Good to see you.
Right. Bye.
Bye bye.